Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the darkest corners of history and unravel the stories of the most infamous individuals. Today, we explore the chilling tale of Ted Bundy, one of America's most notorious serial killers. Get ready to uncover the secrets and shocking truths behind his monstrous acts. July 25, 1979, the New York Post led with the headline, "Love Bite Killer May Take Grizzly's Secret to Grave," referencing Ted Bundy's tactics to lure his victims. Bundy, a charming and attractive man, used his looks and personality to attract young women. The newspaper article even included a relatively pleasant photograph of Bundy, rather than the typical police mugshot. His normal appearance and personality led many to believe he was incapable of mass murder. Although Bundy admitted to 30 murders before his death, the actual number of his victims remains unknown. Bundy defied the stereotype that criminals have an obvious, sinister look. With no criminal record, a college degree, and a friendly demeanor, he didn't fit the mold of previous mass murderers. The headline about taking his secret to the grave suggests Bundy could have evaded suspicion due to his character and charm.
Have you ever physically harmed anyone?
Ever physically harmed anyone? No. No. Again, not in the context I think that you're speaking of.
Before diving into his crimes, let's explore who Ted Bundy was. What was his early life like? Was it traumatic or normal? Were there events in his childhood that led to his crimes? Ted Bundy, born Theodore Robert Bundy on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, had a troubled childhood. His biological father's identity is unknown, and his birth certificate initially listed no father. His mother, Louise Cowell, claimed she met a war veteran named Jack Worthington, who left her after she became pregnant. Bundy lived with his grandparents and was initially told his grandparents were his parents and his mother was his sister. He later discovered the truth under varying circumstances, including a cousin showing him his birth certificate. From a young age, Bundy exhibited disturbing behavior. Louise's younger sister, Julia, recalled waking up surrounded by kitchen knives with 3-year-old Ted smiling nearby. A childhood neighbor, Sandy Holt, described him as a bully who enjoyed frightening people and inflicting pain. Bundy's mother eventually moved with Ted to live with cousins in Tacoma, Washington. In 1951, she met and married Johnny Culpepper Bundy, who adopted Ted. Despite Johnny's efforts to include Ted in family activities, Ted remained distant, later describing Johnny as not very bright and poor. Ted's strained relationship with his stepfather and his shyness made him a target for bullying, but his intelligence and social skills eventually led to a successful college career and normal relationships with women. During his teenage years in Tacoma, Bundy developed an obsession with sexual violence, often drinking heavily and prowling neighborhoods at night looking for open windows to spy on women. His social life was solitary. He didn't make friends and claimed not to understand why people wanted friendships. Bundy attended the University of Puget Sound for a year before transferring to the University of Washington to study Chinese. In 1967, he overcame his social awkwardness and began a romantic relationship with a classmate, Diane Edwards, who is referred to by various pseudonyms in his biographies, most commonly Stephanie Brooks. In early 1968, Ted Bundy dropped out of college and took on a series of low-wage jobs. He volunteered at Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign office in Seattle and worked as a driver and bodyguard for Arthur Fletcher during Fletcher's campaign for lieutenant governor of Washington state. Bundy's personality underwent a dramatic change after attending the 1968 Republican National Convention in Miami as a Rockefeller delegate in August. Shortly after the convention, Bundy's girlfriend, Diane Edwards, ended their relationship, frustrated by his immaturity and lack of ambition. Psychiatrist Dorothy Otno Lewis later identified this breakup as a pivotal moment in Bundy's development. Devastated, Bundy traveled to Colorado and then further east, visiting relatives in Arkansas and Philadelphia, and enrolling for a semester at Temple University. During this time, in early 1969, he visited the Office of Birth Records in Burlington and confirmed his true parentage. In 1969, after returning to Washington, Bundy began a relationship with Elizabeth Klupfer, also known as Meg Anders, Beth Archer, or Liz Kendall in various accounts. She was a single mother from Ogden, Utah, working as a secretary at the UW School of Medicine. Their tumultuous relationship lasted well beyond Bundy's initial incarceration in Utah in 1976. Bundy became a father figure to Klupfer's daughter, Molly, who was 3 years old when Bundy entered their lives and 10 years old when he was arrested. As an adult, Molly recounted instances of Bundy's abuse and inappropriate behavior, including hitting her, exposing himself, and sexual touching disguised as accidents or games. While dating Klupfer, Bundy re-enrolled at the University of Washington as a psychology major in the mid-1970s. He became a focused, goal-oriented student and was recognized as an honor student by his professors. In 1971, Bundy began working at Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center, where he met and worked with Ann Rule, a former Seattle police officer and aspiring crime writer. Rule later authored The Stranger Beside Me, a definitive biography of Bundy, and described him as kind, solicitous, and empathetic at the time. Bundy rekindled his relationship with Edwards during a trip to California on Republican Party business in the summer of 1973. She was amazed by his transformation into a serious, dedicated professional on the verge of a significant legal and political career. Bundy continued to date Klupfer as well, keeping both women unaware of each other's existence. In the fall of 1973, he enrolled at the University of Puget Sound Law School and continued courting Edwards, who visited Seattle several times. They discussed marriage, and Bundy even introduced her as his fiancée to friends and colleagues. However, he abruptly cut off all contact with her in January 1974, leaving her calls and letters unanswered. When she finally reached him by phone, he flatly denied knowing what she meant by their relationship and hung up. Edwards later concluded that Bundy had pre-planned their courtship and rejection as revenge for her 1968 breakup. After this incident, Bundy began missing law school classes. As young women started disappearing in the Pacific Northwest, he stopped attending classes entirely by April 1974. There is no consensus on when or where Bundy began his murders, as he told different stories to different people and refused to reveal details of his earliest crimes, even while confessing to many subsequent murders in graphic detail before his execution. On January 4, 1974, in Washington, Bundy broke into the basement apartment of 18-year-old Karen Sparks, a University of Washington student and dancer. He bludgeoned her with a metal rod from her bed frame and sexually assaulted her with the same rod or a metal speculum, causing extensive internal injuries. Sparks remained unconscious in the hospital for 10 days and survived with permanent physical disabilities. The next attack occurred in the early hours of February 1st, when Bundy broke into the basement room of Linda Ann Healy, a UW undergraduate and weather broadcaster for a local radio station. He beat her unconscious, dressed her in blue jeans, a white blouse, and boots, and carried her away. Bundy's spree continued through the first half of 1974, with female college students disappearing at a rate of about one per month. On March 12th, Donna Gail Manson, a 19-year-old student at Evergreen State College in Olympia, left her dormitory to attend a jazz concert on campus, but never arrived. Bundy's final known abduction occurred on February 9, 1978, when 7th grader Kimberly Leach disappeared from Florida's Lake City Junior High School in the middle of the day. At 12 years old, she was significantly younger than Bundy's usual victims. Her body was discovered 2 months later under a shed in Suwannee River State Park. On February 15, 1978, Pensacola police officer David Lee pulled over a car with no headlights and discovered that its license plates matched those of a stolen vehicle.
Suspicious vehicle behind a building, And as a matter of routine, I was running a check on the tag.
Were there shots
Yes, sir, there
fired?
were 2 shots fired.
Did he resist arrest with violence?
Yes, sir, he did.
What did he do?
Initially, when I was placing the handcuffs on him, he kicked my feet out from under me and struck me with a handcuff that had been placed on one wrist.
A violent scuffle ensued when Officer Lee tried to handcuff the driver, who eventually revealed himself as Ted Bundy, one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. Bundy's arrest was a significant breakthrough. His trial, expected to be the first to be broadcast nationally, began with jury selection at the Miami-Dade County Metro Justice Building. Bundy faced multiple charges: 2 counts of burglary, 2 counts of first-degree murder, and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Throughout the trial, Bundy sparred with the prosecution, cross-examined witnesses, and referred to himself in the third person. Forensic dentist Richard Souveron provided crucial testimony by matching photographs of Bundy's teeth to bite marks found on one of his victims. On July 24, 1979, after less than 7 hours of deliberation, the jury found Bundy guilty of the murders of Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman, and the attempted murders of Karen Chandler, Kathy Kleiner, and Cheryl Thomas. He was sentenced to death by electric chair. During the penalty phase, Bundy proposed to his girlfriend, Carol Boone, in the presence of a notary public, making their marriage legally binding. The jury recommended the death sentence for Bundy, which the court subsequently imposed. Bundy later sat for an interview with evangelist James Dobson, during which he confessed to numerous murders, including 3 that predated his 1974 spree, and blamed his actions on his addictions to alcohol and pornography. On January 24, 1989, at Florida State Prison, Bundy was executed in the electric chair, known as Old Sparky. Before his death at 7:16 a.m., he told witnesses to give my love to my family and friends. His execution was met with cheers from the approximately 200 people gathered outside the prison. In summary, Ted Bundy is remembered as one of the most notorious and repulsive criminals in history. May his victims' families find peace, and may he face eternal damnation for his heinous crimes. Thank you for joining us on this winding journey through the dark corridors of human nature. We hope that by sharing this story, we can increase awareness and prevention. Remember to stay alert, stay informed, and most importantly, look out for each other. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share to help us keep this important discussion alive. Until next time, stay safe.